Today I'm reviewing 65, going over all of the casting news for Thanksgiving, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the I Know What You Did Last Summer requel. All that and more in today's episode.
It's insane, right?
Art the Clown.
I'm something different.
I'm your host, Tyler Nichols, and welcome back to another modern horror movie talk. And today, you'll notice that, yeah, technically this isn't, explicitly horror, but I mean, if you watch that trailer, then it seemed like it was going to be a bit more horrific than maybe it turned out to be. And honestly, there wasn't really anything else. And already we made the decision to cover this movie, so we're covering it. But before we can even really get into that, I know I said that I wasn't going to do it since I'm, by myself and this might make me an alcoholic, but I'm doing it anyway. What am I drinking? So I quickly realized that, having to discuss 65 for any length of time that's more than 30 seconds would be a bit of a chore being sober. So despite my, being by myself here, I decided to make a Bloody Mary. I figure that's a little more acceptable to be drinking alone. Maybe. I don't know. Regardless, it's pretty damn good. I don't know the amounts, but I know I got Tito's vodka in it, and it's pretty delicious. I'm a big fan of some Bloody Marys that have a good spice to it. I'm also very glad that Lance isn't here because I'm sure he would tell me something that I'm doing wrong with my drink, and then he'll ruin it for me, because that's the Lance special. Cheers!
I'm going to do it right in front of your face. I'm going to chug 15 beers right now. Oh, that's so cold.
An astronaut crash lands on a mysterious planet, only to discover that he is not alone. Now, I'm going to get this out of there right off the jump. Big Jurassic Park fan. Love me some Jurassic Park. Love me some dinosaurs. I just think the dinosaurs are fun and interesting. So, when the trailer for this released, where it's like, oh my god, a sci-fi horror dinosaur movie with Adam Driver? Fucking Kylo Ren? I thought for sure we would be in for quite the treat. Then they did one press screening. That, in case you're not aware, that is pretty much the death knell. Non-spoiler, it was fine. It was whatever. It was very mediocre. It's one of those movies that you see where you're like, yep, I'll probably never watch that again. Because there's not much in terms of anything that's memorable. One thing that kept popping into my head over and over and over again was just how much the plot and everything about this movie felt like a video game. I think that this would be a kick-ass video game. Crash land on a planet, Turok, it's like Turok style in terms of facing dinosaurs. Adam Driver's character has this gun that essentially has unlimited ammo. Then, there's instances where it might jam up or whatever, but for all intents and purposes, there does not appear to be any way for him to run out of ammunition. So that alone, it means it kind of gets rid of some of the tension because you're like, well, this guy can deal with any issue that comes his way. You would think. However, there's such an inconsistency with it, and that's kind of the biggest issue with this film in general, is just the inconsistency. I think it's mostly due to the marketing, because I think no one knew about this movie. Then marketing came out for it, the trailer where, people were pumped. It looked interesting, yet the marketing makes it seem like it's a $150 million movie, but it's not it. This is obviously, I use the term loosely, but it's low budget. At least I should say lower budget than, say, the Jurassic World series. This was shot in 40 days versus the last Jurassic World took what? I guess that one's not a good example since with COVID, it took like a year and a half to film. But usually those are taking up months and months of filming. And so I think that you kind of get these unrealistic expectations. And again, this is all on the marketing team because they make the mistake of showing so much of the third act in the trailers. Like, why would you show so much of the third act? Just like, too, there's a very cool shot. And I mean, technically this is a spoiler, but it happens in the first 5 minutes. So if it happens in the first like 30 minutes, I'm not really going to consider it a spoiler. This isn't Scream, okay? So there's this wonderful shot in the trailer with Adam Driver going through like the swamp, and you can see a creature moving through the swamp right behind him, unbeknownst to him. Very cool moment. They don't do fucking anything with it. How do you not do anything with that? He's in the water multiple times and they tease it. So I don't know if they had something that then got cut. It makes no sense because they set it up so well and then nothing. We only get 4 different dinosaur types in this movie. 4. That is not... That's not enough. There's no awe at any point in this film. And all the dinosaurs we're seeing are carnivores. So we've got, and they're also weirdly designed. Does Universal own the look, like the look that they came up with for the Jurassic Park movies that we've seen in, I don't know, various the Earth dinosaur walking National Geographic things? We've seen those designs. It's basic design, yet everything looks different. So we've got the raptor, which looks like a kind of like a Komodo dragon. And then there's pterodon that is probably the closest looking to what they look like. And then they have these little compies, and then the T-Rex, which I mean, I assume that's a T. I don't think that's a T-Rex because it has very large arms. Whatever the fuck that even is. I use those words, but in terms of that is supposed to be what they're paralleling. That might not be their exact scientific name. These could very easily be based on things that I just don't know about. But I just don't like the design. The design is very boring. I don't know. I was hoping for that moment, just like in Jurassic Park, with them being in awe of the world and the creatures, but there's never any of that. All the creatures just want to kill them, which that's fine. But, just give me a moment. Oh, you know what? I lied. There is a fifth one. They have some fucking meat or Vegisaurus. And so I guess there is one other one. So 5. I'll give them 5. I don't know what happens to that one, but yes, I will give them 5. I don't know. The dinosaur aspect just doesn't work for me in this in any way. They are just a plot convenience. Just didn't like that. And another thing, they introduce, I mean, you can see in the trailer, there is another person on the planet with Adam Driver's character, and her name is Koa. They are pretty much trying to do the Logan and Laura dynamic from Logan, but it does not work in any way. They're able to show all of these huge scientific advancements that they've accomplished, and yet these two can't communicate worth a shit. There's even a throwaway line about, oh, my translator's broken. Like, fucking why? Why is your translator broken? Why make this girl essentially a mute? Give her some personality. It would have gone so much further and we would have connected so much more with her. This is making me think of something else that I want to talk about in terms of spoiler stuff. So I will save that. The acting from pretty much anyone that's not Adam Driver is questionable. Koa's fine. I think that's mostly the character that I just had such an issue with, but there's scenes in the beginning with Adam Driver and his family, and they're really, really rough. Really rough. But yeah, overall, it's very middle of the road, and if you want to see it, check it out on streaming. That's where this movie should have released. It's a streaming release. And if it had been released to streaming, I think it probably would have done better because our preconceived notions just wouldn't have been quite as strong, because they make it look like it's a certain movie that it just really isn't. It feels more After Earth than anything.
She said no matter what, don't come out of that box!
I talked a little bit about how the girl, she can't speak English, so they have communication problems. So there are times where Adam Driver's just talking to her. They establish pretty quickly, they establish by the end that she really doesn't understand what he's saying in these moments, because he straight up tells her that her parents are dead and that they're not going to be there when they get to the top of the mountain. Once they get to the top of the mountain, she's looking for her parents because she didn't understand a word that he said. So that means all of these moments that were leading up to it, where we think maybe she's learning and knows what he's saying, no, she clearly has no clue at all. So again, I don't understand the choices that are being made. That's my main thing. The choices are weird, just weird. I don't agree with making her mute. Just, it's bad writing, which I'm not gonna call out the screenwriters for this, but so many of the issues with this film come with just really, really bad writing, where everything is just plot convenience. Everything, there's no good characterization. They're just moving from moment to moment and forgetting any lesson learned along the way. There's nothing to grasp onto outside of just scene to scene, whatever's happening. You don't really care much about their journey because of it. It's hard to, they essentially make Adam Driver's entire personality that he cares so much about his daughter. Yet, yes, they add this little thing where it's like he's going on this mission for 2 years, and the only reason he's doing it is because they're paying an absurd amount so then they can afford treatment for his sick daughter. Spoiler alert, his sick daughter dies while he's gone. I understand like what they're going for, but it just kind of comes across really silly, especially once there's the surrogate for the daughter introduced via Koa. It's like, really? Girl like almost the same age as his daughter. Like, just, I don't know. It's a very similar feeling to the ending of Face Off, where they're like, surprise, you've got a new son. You know, forget that your old one is dead, but new one. Okay, well, I will say though, I did enjoy that there's not much tension to it, but I did enjoy the reveal of the whole asteroid coming to Earth, because I'm a dummy and I didn't think about it until like, I don't know, 20 minutes in. It's like, oh yeah, I bet the unknown interference that fucked with their ship, it's probably the asteroid that kills the dinosaurs. I'm a dummy who wasn't paying much of close of attention, I guess. And essentially it's the reveal when they're like, oh, there was some mysterious object. I'm like, oh, it's that asteroid. So I enjoyed that, though. Again, I wish there was more tension to it, because you essentially now have this ticking time bomb where you know, like, okay, it is going to hit. Like, they have to get out or they are dead. Again, there's not much tension, which is odd. Which I think that's just a lot to do with lower budget that then got expanded without really much thought in regards to the plot, I think. They've, this company, Braun, God, I can't believe, I feel like they may have done, was it Medieval? They clearly are very talented in terms of being able to stretch a buck. However, I think that sometimes there's a certain type of movie where you should recognize that you need a certain budget to be able to accomplish it, and they just aren't able to here. So it should have been a case of, okay, gotta wait until technology catches. It's the James Cameron thing. If he had made Avatar 10 years prior, holy shit, it would have been like the Lawnmower Man all over again. He had to wait for technology to catch up so that then he could make it for a reasonable price. Reasonable price. But I mean, just like nowadays, there are horror films that are being released with fully CGI creatures that look photorealistic that just 10 years ago wouldn't have been possible because it would have cost so much. But with how high powered, I have a MacBook Pro that can essentially make these crazy effects that are good enough to go into a feature film. Obviously, like to an extent, but it just shows how much people, like independent filmmakers, are able to do with much more limited resources nowadays. I understand that, but I also think that, you know, you need to kind of stay in your lane a little bit in terms of if you only have X amount of budget, maybe don't do a giant dinosaur movie. Maybe just leave that for Universal, even though they've proven that they can't really do that much either. I don't have much else to say. Adam Driver's fun in it, but otherwise, in terms of a rating, I would probably give this a 5 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, it's so middle of the road. 5 out of 10 for me is just so average. There's not enough bad to make it entertaining. There's not enough good to make it, good. So again, I didn't think it was that good, but I also didn't think it was that bad either. So middle of the road. I think that it would have been much more successful as a streaming release, but that's not what we got. We got a full-on theatrical release, and that may have been the film's failure. Yeah, that's really all for that. Let's get into some horror news. So, on the first episode, we talked about how Eli Roth's Thanksgiving seemed to be entering production, and since then has been officially announced, and we've actually got some new people that have joined the cast. I'm just going to go over some of the important ones because I don't even know some of these names. We got Gina Gershon, which I'm always going to think of Bound. I think that most people probably think the same. Maybe. And then the other main aspect is Patrick Dempsey. He's playing the town sheriff. Then it sounds like Addison Rae is playing the lead, but I think we already discussed that. And so this fully is happening. This is happening. So I don't really know how it's going to turn out. I really love the trailer, and I haven't liked anything that Eli Roth has done in quite a while. So I don't know. I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping that he actually makes a slasher film, like an old school grindhousey style slasher film. And I hope it doesn't get watered down or just made into something for the TikTok generation, because I'm obviously, with Addison Rae being in it, there's concerns for that.
Here, let me do this TikTok really quick. Yeah, I'll get out of it. Stop acting so stupid!
And then another thing that we discussed in, the first episode, Return to Silent Hill. We've got a little more information about this. Jeremy Irvine and Hannah Emily Anderson have been cast, and it is a horrific love story, whatever that means. I really, actually, oddly enough, I don't know Jeremy Irvine's work that well. He seems to come from the Mamma Mia stuff, so not my thing. But I do really like Hannah Emily Anderson because she is in Jigsaw. That movie is very, very mediocre. However, I think she's awesome in it. And she's one part of it that I thought should have been, expanded upon a little more. And I was hoping that I would see her in more horror stuff. So the fact that she's in this is awesome. And I don't know, I'm really looking forward to this because I really enjoyed the first Silent Hill. And honestly, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I think Silent Hill Revelation is a fucking blast. It is so bad in the best of ways. So I'm really looking forward to whatever it is that they're able to pull off with this series. And then finally, one bit of news I want to talk about is, so it was announced that they would be doing a I Know What You Did Last Summer requel, in the style of Halloween 2018. And they were currently in negotiations with Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. to return. And as someone that I, recently did an I Know What You Did Last Summer video, did a deep dive into it. And so I enjoy that story and those movies because they're just dumb 90s slashers. But it then came out that Freddie Prinze Jr. has not been contacted about it, and that this is simply a ploy by the filmmakers to, drum up interest. That part is really annoying to me. But then when you add in the fact that Freddie Prinze Jr. almost quit acting because of his experience on I Know What You Did Last Summer. So then to just announce that seems super just disrespectful and kind of getting the movie off on the wrong foot. And so this has happened in the past with, Scream 6 was announced with everyone returning. And then obviously, famously, Neve Campbell did not return because of money issues. You know, I come from watch UFC, MMA, and they will announce fights before they're even agreed to. And it's essentially done to pressure the fighters. And it seems like a similar situation going on here, where it's kind of trying to pressure them into accepting lesser deals, having less power in negotiations. So that aspect is very disappointing because they just don't seem to. There's always just such a disrespect in the horror world when it comes to paying actors, paying creatives, paying the people who are actually representing the work and representing the film. And this already puts me off of it. And it doesn't help too that they had the other recently released, the Amazon I Know What You Did Last Summer series that was awful. So, I don't have a lot of faith in this being a good one, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. Now, it is just me this week, and I was hoping most times it would be just me, that there would be trailers to watch, do a nice little trailer reaction. However, there has not been shit released this week. So we're not going to do a trailer reaction, though I will briefly say, when I went and saw 65, I got to see the Pope's Exorcist trailer on the big screen. And I will now guarantee you guys we're covering it on this show because that looks like a buttload of fun. I mean, I don't know. It looks so silly. It comes out the same week as Renfield, so I'm sure Renfield will get priority and then we'll do it the following week. But I'm really looking forward to the just absurdity of that film. It really reminds me, I'm getting similar vibes to The Nun, which I get such a kick out of. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, that's really all. Let me know, did you watch 65? What's your review? Do you plan on watching 65? I would say, if it comes to a streaming service, it's worth checking out. Also, do you have any interest in Eli Roth's Thanksgiving? Any interest in Return to Silent Hill? And what about this I Know What You Did Last Summer debacle? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's really all. Next week, I'm really excited about this one because we will be talking about what is so far my favorite film of the year. We're discussing Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool. Yes! And we'll have a very special guest, but you'll see next week. That's really all. Stay spooky.